There is a moment in almost every financial journey that is difficult to notice while it is happening. It is not marked by a celebration, a promotion, or a dramatic change in lifestyle. Instead, it happens quietly, inside the way the brain begins to interpret money itself. For many people, that shift starts to appear around the time they accumulate their first $10,000 in savings or investments. The number is not magical, and it is not a guarantee of future wealth, but it often represents the point where money begins to feel less like something that constantly disappears, and more like something that can be managed with intention. Imagine two people earning similar incomes. Both work hard, both receive their paycheck every month, and both believe they are making reasonable financial decisions. Yet one person constantly feels as though money slips through their fingers, while the other slowly develops confidence in every financial choice they make. The difference is not necessarily intelligence or luck. Often, it is the psychological relationship they have developed with money over time. The human brain evolved to solve immediate survival problems, rather than long-term financial planning. Thousands of years ago, worrying about food for the next season mattered far more than thinking 30 years into the future. That same mental wiring still influences modern financial behavior. Immediate rewards feel more valuable than distant ones, even when the distant reward is objectively much larger. Behavioral economists refer to this tendency as present bias, and it explains why saving consistently often feels more difficult than spending. When someone has very little financial cushion, nearly every decision carries emotional weight. An unexpected bill can create stress. A small emergency can disrupt an entire monthly budget. Every purchase feels connected to potential risk, because there is very little room for error. Under these conditions, the brain naturally focuses on short-term survival instead of long-term optimization. As savings begin to grow, something interesting starts to happen. The individual expenses that once felt overwhelming begin to lose some of their emotional intensity. A car repair is still inconvenient, but it no longer threatens complete financial stability. This reduction in constant financial stress allows the brain to devote more attention to planning instead of reacting. Psychologists sometimes describe this as moving from a scarcity mindset toward a greater sense of financial security. Scarcity consumes mental bandwidth. Studies have shown that persistent financial pressure can reduce the amount of attention available for complex decision-making because so much mental energy is spent managing immediate concerns. As financial reserves increase, that cognitive burden often begins to ease. This is one reason the first significant savings milestone feels different from every dollar that came before it. The money itself matters, but the psychological effect can matter just as much. The brain starts seeing options instead of obstacles. Decisions become less emotional and more analytical. Consider a simple example. Imagine someone who has only $200 left after paying monthly expenses. Buying a new phone for $300 creates anxiety because it exceeds available savings. Now imagine someone with $10,000 set aside for emergencies and future goals. The exact same purchase may still require careful consideration, but it no longer represents a financial crisis. The numbers have changed, but more importantly, the emotional meaning attached to those numbers has changed. This shift also influences investment behavior. People operating from constant financial pressure often seek certainty because uncertainty feels dangerous. They may avoid investing entirely or chase unrealistic opportunities that promise quick relief. Neither approach is driven purely by mathematics. Both are shaped by emotional responses to scarcity. Once a meaningful financial cushion exists, patience becomes easier. Long-term investments that previously seemed to slow begin to feel reasonable because immediate survival is no longer the dominant concern. The brain becomes more comfortable delaying gratification because it has evidence that delayed rewards are achievable. This does not mean everyone experiences this transition at exactly $10,000. The threshold varies depending on income, living costs, family responsibilities, and personal circumstances. For some households it may occur earlier, while for others it may require a much larger financial reserve. The important lesson is not the exact number, but the existence of a psychological threshold, where money begins to function differently in the mind. There is another subtle change that often occurs after reaching this point. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this today?" people begin asking, "How will this decision affect my future?" That single change in perspective can influence thousands of financial choices over many years. Mathematically, this is significant because consistent decision-making compounds just as investments do. Choosing to save a little more, avoiding unnecessary debt, investing regularly, and allowing time to work all produce results that are much larger than any single decision would suggest. The brain gradually shifts from evaluating isolated purchases to evaluating financial systems. History provides many examples of societies where access to savings changed economic behavior on a broad scale. As households gained more financial stability, they invested more in education, businesses, and productive assets rather than focusing exclusively on immediate consumption. Individual psychology and economic systems often reinforce one another in powerful ways. Of course, reaching a savings milestone does not eliminate financial risk. Unexpected events still happen. Markets fluctuate. Jobs change. Inflation affects purchasing power. The goal is not to become immune to uncertainty but to reduce the amount of mental energy consumed by it. Perhaps the most valuable lesson is that financial progress is not measured only by account balances. It is also measured by the quality of decisions that become possible as financial pressure decreases. Money is not simply a tool for buying things. It is also a tool for buying time, flexibility, and the ability to think beyond the next paycheck.